Thanks to the witnesses for being here today. I know it's been a long day, and I want to thank Chairman McHenry and Ranking Member Waters for holding this hearing. Mr. Fetto, you served as the first ever Assistant Secretary for Investment Security and oversaw the implementation of the Foreign Investment Risk Review Modernization Act, which passed on a strongly bipartisan basis. Can you please elaborate on the effectiveness of FIRMA in ensuring a welcoming investment climate while protecting our national security interests?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I think what makes that balance, the way the law has been drafted and the regulations have been implemented, it's got limited jurisdiction focused on specific things. For example, the control of a U.S. business by a foreign person gives jurisdiction, but the paradigm, the lens through which that is scrutinized is a national security lens exclusively. So, and there's a enumerated list of national security factors that the government considers on whether or not to clear a transaction. Similarly, with non-controlling jurisdiction, minority investments that give some level of influence or access over the U.S. business, it's been limited by the Congress to very specific areas, something related to collection and maintenance of sensitive personal data, the business relates to critical technology that's export controlled, or it relates to a company that utilizes or is involved with part of our country's critical infrastructure. And so because of the precision with which those areas of jurisdiction are defined in very clear rules, the private sector has very clear swim lanes on what is of concern and what isn't. Further, it's a voluntary process, so it gives some latitude to the private sector to understand there really is an open investment environment.
Thank you. So there's been some concern obviously raised over TikTok. However, similar concerning situations are present in our financial systems as well. Two prime examples of that, of broker-dealers that are subsidiaries of Chinese parent companies, are Webull and Moomoo. According to Webull CEO Anthony Denier, Webull is both a U.S. and Chinese company. Our technology team is based in Hunan, China, while all of our customer-facing and brokerage operations are New York City. That's a quote. The company also is partially owned by Xiaomi, a Chinese company whose consistent security concerns led to their temporary inclusion on a U.S. Department of Defense blacklist in 2021. Moomoo is owned by Futu Holdings, which has close ties to Tencent, a company with known ties to the CCP. Concerns about these companies have been echoed by others on the Hill, with these companies the focus of letters from Senator Cotton to the Director of National Intelligence, and from Senators Tuberville, Braun, Scott, and Marshall to the SEC chair. With millions of Americans using these apps, how concerned should we be about the potential for personally identifiable information or other user data to be shared with parent companies with strong ties to the CCP?
Very concerned. This is a data economy, and it's very clear what the PRC views about the importance of collecting as much information and as available and possible, and leveraging that for its own use and advantage. And so,
in the interest of time, just to that point, so if it's very concerning, what do you think should be done to address that in a meaningful way to protect the privacy of U.S. citizens and companies?
So if it's a CFIUS transaction, if it's one that's within jurisdiction, then that would be something that I think the committee would want to look at. And when I was at Treasury, I frequently got letters from members bringing to my attention transactions of concern. Some of them weren't within jurisdiction, but we very seriously considered every letter we received.
Thank you. The chairman's time has expired. I'd like to thank the witnesses on behalf of Chairman McHenry, Ranking Member Waters, and the members of this committee for their testimony today. I know it's been a long day. Without objection, all members will have 5 legislative days within which to submit additional written questions for the witnesses to the chair, which will be forwarded to the witnesses for their response. I ask our witnesses to please respond as promptly as you are able. And with that, much to your delight, this hearing is adjourned.
Thank you.